mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. Hey, get any...
This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
What's up, everybody? It's another episode of Coast to Coast. I am your host, Pags. I got Bo with me. StatGuy will be in a little bit later, at least so he says. And Jay will soon be coming back. Hopefully his knee is better and things are easier. Well, how are you today, Bo?
Doing good. Of course, he's moving into his new house too. So between the knee and the house, and hopefully next week will be that day. The knee was good timing if you're moving though, because then someone else has to do it. And right. I don't hate that strategy.
I trust me, I get it. If I could not move ever again, I'm not doing it.
Yep.
In fact, when I moved into this apartment that you see behind me, I specifically said, whatever I move up is not moving back down.
Yeah. It lives here forever.
Exactly.
Yep. So,
a lot happened yesterday, and we might as well start off. Let's start off with the ladies. Since you happened to pay a lot more attention than I did, actually, because I did actually
watch it. I did actually watch the draft yesterday.
I watched a little bit on Instagram, and it was funny because I guess ESPN was like talking and everybody could hear what it was that they were saying. And they even made a joke like, hey, it's even awesome that Caitlin Clark is acting like she doesn't hear every word that we're saying about her right in front of her. You know what I mean? So
no, it was kind of a weird broadcast in that way. So it was on ESPN, and it was funny because you could actually hear some of the reverb from when they were talking in the background of the stadium. So I mean, anything they were talking about, everyone in there could definitely hear. So when they were zoomed in on her with the camera and they were talking about her, they're like, "Oh yeah, she has to act like she can't hear us," and it's like, yeah, that probably would have been a little weird. Not that they're going to say anything bad on draft night where you're the obvious number one overall pick. So it's not like that was going to be a problem. But that being said, if you're just sitting there and a camera zoomed in on you and you have to, not react to whatever, it'd be weird, I guess.
So I guess let's actually, the one biggest non-surprise was that she went number one.
She did go number one. The thing that was kind of funny about her going number one is you would have thought that there would have been no delay on getting that card in, right? And there was they waited like 2 minutes into their time period before they, put the draft in. And it was just like, everybody knows who you're getting. Like, as soon as you're on the clock, you might as well just set that card down because you're not going another way.
Right. And so she goes to Indiana, which not for nothing. I mean, like Indiana does have a rich basketball history and things like that. And I know nothing about the Fever. You know what I mean? No clue whatsoever. I watch little to zero of the WNBA. So I have nothing to be able to say to that. Now, the reason why I would think that a team specifically is waiting for a couple of minutes is to see if they get any last minute phone calls that says, hey, we're going to give you our first and second and third round pick for the next 16 years.
I mean, okay, sure.
Like
some of those phone calls would have happened before then.
Well, yeah, but you never know. Last second, you're trying to maybe confuse things and stuff like that, and maybe if I was the number two pick, I want that phone like I want to call them every few minutes and like prank them almost. Be like, hey, no, 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 hold on, I got this great deal for you, and just maybe that they get their pick in late
Sure.
because then you could jump over them. Obviously, that doesn't happen. I mean,
Nope.
it sounds like it's hysterical, but
Yeah, I
I
would
can't
never go
imagine.
down.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
would never really work that way. But she winds up going number one,
Yep.
and ultimately is going to be in Indiana, which is not very far, I guess, from Iowa. It's only a couple of states away. You're going to have a whole bunch of people, and I'm not even sure where this girl is from.
I have no idea. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know all the players' backstories, stuff like that. Like I don't follow it like that.
So, all right. Well, anyways, but Indiana is going to be the place where she's going to reside and make her $75,000 a year.
That is one of the crazier things about it, right? Like she was making a ton of money on her NIL, and it's going to be a significant pay cut to go play in the WNBA.
But not really. Not really. Because, there is all of the people she gets chosen number one. She
Well, there's
goes and
endorsements.
gives everybody the high fives. And the first person that she hugs is Jake from State Farm.
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean, like at the end of the day, the endorsements are going to pay her out.
Well, absolutely. That's why the first hug that she gave was to Jake from State Farm, because I'm sure that $20 million check will cash very nicely. Because
Absolutely.
I mean, the $75,000 ain't even going to be enough to,
Cover the
get
taxes.
her some new shoes. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, let's be for real.
Yeah.
However, how much, and I guess between us, how much of the weight of women's basketball is now thrown on her shoulders?
So, so less than you'd think, and only because the draft class was nice, right? Like it's not like she was the only one coming out. So you actually had quite a few really good players coming out. Because the girl that went number two, uh, Cameron Brink, she was basically, if I remember right, she was third all time in points scored. So it's not like the other girls that are in this draft were bad, right? And then you have Cardoso, who goes third, just came off a national title. You have Angel Reese goes seventh, national
Just playing
title the year
team.
before, right? So I mean, you're looking at a lot of really good talent coming out of this draft. So it's not really going to all fall on Caitlin Clark, because realistically, the top 7 or 8 players are all impact players and or going to be impact players in this league.
Well, it's interesting because actually the Sparks, which I don't even know where they're from, with Cameron Brink,
Yeah,
actually had the second and the fourth pick.
correct.
And they took one of the girls from Tennessee. And like I said, the only reason why I even know anything about any of these, like, when I think about the good teams in women's basketball, I
Mhm.
thought of Tennessee because Tennessee actually gave South Carolina a run to possibly lose their only game this year. You know what I mean? Every other game was not close for South Carolina except the Tennessee game. So that's, kind of seeing that happen. And then a couple, at the very bottom of the first round, you had two girls from France and a girl from Australia being
Yep.
chosen.
Yep.
So, I mean, obviously they didn't play any college ball, and it'll be
Well, I mean,
interesting to see kind of
so
see.
I forget which one it was. I want to say, I believe it was Carla Late. She was on their last Olympic team for France, if I remember right. It was one of the two, and so do they have any college experience? No, but I mean they've got plenty of experience.
Right. You know what I did notice? What else I'm noticing as I'm looking at the draft and seeing all of the different, women that were chosen.
Mhm.
Only the first round, only saw one go from South Carolina, one go from UConn and one from Iowa. Obviously, Caitlin Clark is the one from
Of
Iowa.
course.
You go into the second round, there's one more from UConn,
Hmm.
another one from Iowa,
Yep.
but none from South Carolina. And then you go to the third round, none from South Carolina, none from Iowa, none from Tennessee.
Yeah.
Interesting. I find that very interesting that the best team in the league literally had one person chosen. They got chosen
Hmm.
third, and that's it.
Yeah. I wonder how much of that team declared though. I wonder how much of it is returning.
Yeah, I mean, I just find it interesting. There may be most of that team comes back. I have no clue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because what also happened yesterday was that they had a parade around the campus, I guess, or whatever it is. They you know South Carolina doesn't get to have many sports parades ever, so they had a parade. As they should have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those girls, they went undefeated. So
They balled out.
yeah, let's have a parade. Why not? You know what I mean? Hell. Um, so maybe they all are coming back, and this is unfortunately this is part of my ignorance to
Yep.
women's basketball. But if that's the case, holy hell,
Yeah. It's going to be
next
a
year.
good. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's going to be a phenomenal team. If that's the case, although they do lose their, you know, main piece. So
Yeah, which is one person though. My
it
God,
is.
my expectation is that if there is any 5-star recruits
Sure.
in women's basketball that is got some height, there's a good chance that they're going to go to one of three schools:
Yeah. No,
UConn,
that's fair.
South Carolina, LSU.
Sure.
Yeah. Now I don't know anything about Stanford. I didn't know if they had a good team or not. Tennessee, similar situation. They brought South Carolina to the brink of possibly winning one game or losing one game.
Yeah.
That all being said, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. So I guess we will see. Um,
Yeah. The team that's going to be kind of fun to watch coming into this next season, it is the Chicago Sky, and that's because they pick up Cardoso, they pick up Angel Reese, and I'm not even sure how to Bryna Maxwell. Basically, they had three. Well, they had 2 first-round picks, and then the first pick in the second round. So I mean, they're adding some real talent to that team. I would imagine that team takes a huge step forward. My Seattle Storm, unfortunately, did not have a first-round pick, so we'll see how they do. One thing that's really crazy, and I mentioned it before we got on air, is they always talk about workload for athletes and worrying about them getting hurt and all of this. And then when you look at how women's basketball works, you go right from, their regular season, March Madness, they crown a champion. 2.5 weeks later, you got the draft. 2.5 weeks after that, you have preseason games for the WNBA. So they get no time off. They get no real time with their team to get ready. And then by mid-May, your regular season. I mean, these ladies are going right from a full college workload into the draft, straight into the season. Pretty crazy.
Belgian Hawk, another Hawks fan from Belgium.
Sweet.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to go to London. Is there a break during the Olympics?
I'm not sure what a break in what.
Women's basketball is what I would think.
Oh, gotcha. I have no idea.
Yeah, that makes 2 of us. I'm not sure about that. My thought would be probably. especially since when I look at this draft and all right, you had two girls from France and one girl from Australia in the first round.
Yep.
You had none, well, a girl from Australia in the second round,
Yep.
and then one from Belgium.
Yep.
Uh,
Italy.
yeah, Nastja Claessens, as we're talking about Belgium right here. And I thought I saw
Matilda.
another one.
Yeah, it
Nope,
was
that's it.
Italy. I think was the only other one.
Yes, Italy in the round three. Yes, Villa.
Yep.
Matilde Villa.
Yep.
So because there is some of that, that makes me think that they will have a break. But you never know. They may not.
Yeah.
So,
So,
um,
Paul, to answer your question there, usually the national team has nothing to do with MLS.
uh, so in
Occasionally,
those,
occasionally you have a player, but
no, that's not true. Actually, in the MLS specifically, I know, in fact, for the Union, that there are a few guys that will actually go play um, for their home team. Like I know specifically.
overseas, yes. I mean for the U.S. team.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys. There's a couple of guys, but most of the U.S. team is already playing in Europe, so they're going to have.
Exactly. Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, usually when it comes to the foreign teams, their players go back and play for their team. But for the U.S. team, the U.S. national team is not generally filled with MLS guys.
Yeah. So and you say Messaman is your greatest player.
Hmm.
I have well, I'm assuming that she's already in the league because ultimately the one I saw here is Clausen's. And with one or two exceptions in the Olympic tournament. Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, if it's all mostly under 23, the Union 2 would be, you know, I would say that those guys, because it's interesting that Philadelphia and Austin, Texas, are the two major hubs for soccer in the U.S. So there is the Union actually have one of the premier soccer schools where it's literally you're going to school and playing soccer. That's what you're doing. Like they have the classes and soccer and classes and soccer.
Yep.
And it really is an amazing program. And there's been a lot of talent that have wound up over in Europe because of that. From this program. Same thing with Austin. Austin has like they're rival to each other in terms of how good they are for soccer. And only because I'm in Philadelphia do I have any even idea of this being the case. But little did I know, like if you go back into the history of Philadelphia and football, soccer, Philadelphia has always had a very rich history in soccer. In fact, the Ukrainian team, the Philadelphia Ukrainian team, was like world champions like 7, 8 times. They played out of Philadelphia and they would be like world champions winning against like major teams and they would kill them all the time. So it was really surprising to think that you have to go back in the 50s and 60s where like literally this team was like unbeatable. And it was a bunch of Ukrainian guys in Philadelphia playing soccer.
Yeah.
So you never know. You never know what's going to happen or where people come from. But yeah, so it was very interesting to see Caitlin Clark be number one. And the first first person that she hugs is Jake from State Farm because that's where the real checks are going to come from.
Dollar bills, yo.
Yes, exactly. That is exactly correct.
Not mad at it.
Not even a little bit. So, anyways, to get to other sports, since we started with the women, we wanted to give them their due.
Might as well talk about the normal NBA because we got the playing games tonight.
The play-in games are tonight, and it's going to be very interesting. Actually, the bigger news than that is that Giannis is expected to miss the start of that Bucks Pacers series, and it makes me wonder how
Interesting.
they are going to wind up. You losing game number one will wind up being a big deal, and I think that's going to be the most
Absolutely.
obviously. It's going to be the most important game. If you are the Pacers, you have to absolutely win that game. You know,
Yes.
especially with Giannis out, because once he comes back, even if he's back at 70%, and he will be back at 70% if if you guys lose game one. But
Yes.
I don't know. Is Damian Lillard enough to be able to stop a Pacers team that just scored 150 points in their last game? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think the Bucks may wind up losing this series, and not that I'd be upset about it because I am such a fan of Glenn Rivers that I'd be super excited to watch him exit out early. I would love it if the Sixers beat him, but it'll be just as nice if he doesn't even make it out of the first round.
Fair enough. But I mean, still got to get through these playoff games or play-in games. So what do you think if we look at the four games that got, the four teams that, or yeah, the four series, I guess, that got to happen. So you got the Kings and Warriors. So this
Correct.
is where I think the Warriors get it done. I think they'll do just enough.
You think they'll beat the Kings?
I do think they'll beat the Kings. Even though I don't know that they match up particularly great, they just have a lot of experience on their side that I think will aid them in getting into the playoffs. I don't think it has them make a run by any means, but I think they can do just enough today, to make that work. The Lakers, I think, also probably sneak in. Now, both those teams probably lose in the first round. So,
Well, maybe. I'm not sure that I trust OKC yet. And the reason why I even say that is because although they have a very good team, they've not played in the playoffs yet. And they're a young team.
Yep.
So playoffs are a different animal.
no doubt.
So the Lakers winning today would make a big difference. And that because I believe that same situation with Zion Williamson playing for the Pelicans. I assume he's playing, right? He's not hurt or anything, right? He's going to be playing. But
Well, so the thing is if the Lakers win, they're the ones playing OKC, though.
no. Okay,
Yeah.
she's the number 1 seed.
I know.
Yeah, the Lakers would be the number 7 seed.
Well, no, if they win, oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. It would be
Warriors, and then the Warriors, if
the
they were to
Warriors.
get past it, so I think you're right. I think the Warriors are actually favored today on the road, 2.5 point favorite against the Kings. So I kind of expect that the Kings will probably lose that game. Just like I said, the Warriors, the last 10, they've won 8 of their last 10, where the Kings have kind of struggled going into the playoffs. The Lakers, however, like this game is going to be an interesting one. I don't know. I think if the Lakers lose this game, they will be out of the playoffs. I think the Warriors will beat the Lakers. Yeah.
Yeah.
If by chance the Lakers win this, obviously they're in. The Pelicans will be out. Same situation. So I think I don't know if Zion Williamson's enough to beat the Lakers. I got to imagine that this is going to be LeBron James versus Zion. Is Davis playing? Is he not? Is he hurt?
No,
Yeah,
he's supposed to be playing. He's supposed to be playing.
Well, it says he's injured. So
Yeah, he had like some back inflammation or something. He's supposed to be okay.
confirms intention to play. Okay,
Yeah.
so that was a day ago, and he's questionable. So that's
Well,
really where
that
that
if you're
comes.
on the list, you're questionable.
Right. And really, LeBron James is in there too. Let's see if the Pelicans don't have any injuries. So Zion is going to get his first ever playoff action, right? I mean, they haven't been in any type of playoffs whatsoever.
Has he not made it to the playoffs?
No. I mean, he was hurt last year. This is like
Yeah.
the first season that he's actually played a little bit.
Yeah,
So
that's true. That's true. He has been injured a lot. Yeah. Huh. Crazy. I guess I didn't really think about that. Yeah.
yeah, Frankie, I think that you are going to be sitting this playoffs out. Just
Yeah.
to let you know.
Again, I think both of these play-in teams ultimately exit first round. Now, I don't trust OKC, and obviously, I have some hater in me that wants to see them burn anyway. So naturally, I want to see them lose, but I think they're a better enough team.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. Although, like I said, again, this is like their first ever playoffs
Yeah.
ever. So maybe the Lakers can pull this one out. They're really only a 1.5 point favorite. Um, yeah, you know what? You could say that they're in a tough conference, but they play everybody. Everybody plays everybody, so it's not the craziest. It is what it is. Uh, Actually, now after thinking about this, I think the Lakers win this game.
Yeah, I think the Lakers win. I think it's the Lakers and Warriors probably work their way through this first round, or through the play-in, and then I think they're both first round exits. The teams that they're both going to go up against they're just
well,
better.
Denver is going to smack around the Lakers.
No doubt.
That will absolutely happen.
Absolutely.
The Warriors, however, I think the Warriors pose a very interesting problem to OKC. And
Yeah.
again, like I said, this is OKC's first. They didn't make it. Did they get in? Did they get into the play-in game? Were they the 10th seed last year?
Last
From what
year?
I remember.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't think
they
that.
were.
And it would have been if they were. They wound up having to play the Warriors because the Warriors wound up getting in from like the 9th seed. So it's possible that they were the number 10 seed last year, but.
Well, I think even if they do go head to head, I think the Warriors probably come up short, but I think it'll be a long series. Like they're not going to go in and just get smacked by OKC. I think OKC has a lot of talent, but the Warriors have a lot of experience.
Right.
And so, I think that'll be a battle to the end. But, you have Draymond, who has a tendency to get kicked out of games, which always hurts their team. You end up with guys that the shots aren't dropping. Soon as that happens, they're not exactly great at playing, small ball. Like they like throwing threes up. So when the three isn't dropping, they get smacked. So,
right.
I mean, that'll actually probably be a fun series to watch. The other one, yeah, the Lakers are going to get crushed.
Yeah, that's like even not. It's not even going to be funny. They're going to get their asses handed to them.
Yeah, that could very easily be a sweep.
Exactly. In fact, I would put a little bit of money on it.
Oh yeah, I would.
And the next day, we have the Heat going to Philadelphia to play against the Sixers.
Yep.
Sixers are a 4.5 point favorite. And of course, then it's the Bulls going up against the Hawks. And the Bulls have actually had a pretty good, I mean, you said the Hawks are trying to do everything they can to lose everything. You know what I mean? They've lost their last 6 games straight. The Bulls actually brought the Knicks down to overtime and lost by really if they put the right amount of time on the clock, it's possible that they could have gotten a final shot off, but they didn't get to do that. And the Knicks wind up getting the number 2 seed because of it, which was good for the Knicks. God bless them. And ultimately, once the Sixers beat the Heat tomorrow, we will have the Knicks, and that's going to be a really tough series.
That'll be a fun one to watch.
Well, it'll be fun to watch. It's going to be a very tough series for the Sixers. Like I said, out of all the teams that match up well against the Sixers, it's the Knicks that really do it the best.
Sure, but it's also the Knicks in the playoffs.
Right. Yep. So I would agree with that, except for the fact that last year the Knicks were in the playoffs. So they
True.
did get
True.
they lost in the
They
first
got some
round,
experience, though.
but they got the experience now.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily agree 100%,
Sure.
but if you see them start to lose and that starts to create dissension in the ranks, that is going to be a big deal. I don't think that's going to happen that way because this team has already been through that type of adversity in Villanova. Like I said, this is half of Villanova's team is on the Knicks. So it's possible that they could stay above that. Before the Knicks would, before they got everybody from Villanova, they would be bickering with each other. So I don't think that same situation is going to occur. I think it's going to be a really tough series. I wouldn't be surprised to see it go 7 games, and that means Game 7 is going to be in Madison Square Garden, and that's going to be a tough out for the Sixers.
Yeah, that's a good spot to have a Game 7, though.
It is. In fact, as I was thinking about it, I was going to see if I could. Wow, tickets right now for that series. Right now, the cheapest I found was $450, and that's all the way up at the very, very top. I may spend that money. I might, just to go there and yell and scream and carry on. I've never been in Madison Square Garden before.
Well, that would be the main reason, right? It would be a deciding game. The Garden's supposed to be amazing. Obviously, I've never been there either, but just as a venue, it's supposed to be an awesome place.
Well, but no, I got to imagine Game 7 would be a lot more than $450.
Oh, for sure.
That's probably a $600 ticket at the very least.
Yeah, that'd be my guess. Yeah, but the atmosphere would be electric. So I mean,
yes, yeah, it would be something that you'd want to be there for. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, listen, this is one of those times where I need to reach out to Visa and be like, hey, listen, Visa, I've been tagging you guys in everything that I do. I am always saying I am everywhere you want to be. I want to be in Madison Square Garden.
That's right.
That's where everywhere is. I want to be. I want to be there. So make sure that you can get me in there, Visa.
Yeah.
Please. I'm sure that they're really thinking about that hardcore.
Yeah. What's the over under on that?
Yeah, I'm definitely taking the under on that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there's a good chance. I'm sure that's probably minus 6,000.
I'll throw some pizza money on that.
There you go. See, that's why I need the gold flakes on that pizza.
Yeah, that's right.
And like I said, the other game, the Bulls. So the Bulls then would have to go up against. At least that's the expectation. The Bulls are going to wind up going up against the Heat for the 8th spot.
Yes.
And that's where my expectation is that the Heat would win that game.
Yeah.
And because it would be at home, it would be in Miami. Jimmy Buckets isn't going to get out of the playoffs. And ultimately, that would put them up against the Celtics. Also, a very, very tough series.
I was going to say, well, I think the Celtics handle business in that scenario.
I think they do too, but I think that it goes more games than expected. I wouldn't. Miami surprises 2 games out of them.
Yeah, I could see that going 6. I could see that.
Yeah. So it's. I mean, I for some reason or another, Miami can. Jimmy Buckets has that extra gear. He just can figure it out. That's what makes me a little nervous in the 1-game play-in.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay, here's another interesting scenario. There's a concert at Wells Fargo Center on Friday. If by chance the Sixers lose this first game,
sure,
that puts a monster conflict on Friday night because that's when the other play-in game is. And it's got to be that because they start the series on Sunday. So, other than maybe having a back-to-back game, which would be bad for the Sixers because ultimately back-to-backs really create a situation for Embiid,
Yes,
or are they going to cancel the concert?
they would. I could see them potentially moving the concert.
Yeah, I mean that's a possibility, but it's going to create a big to do. Not only that, but again, so interestingly enough, I would normally go to this play-in game. I should be there. However, I have a charity event that I'm doing tomorrow, and that I've
Okay.
been slated for a couple of weeks. So there's no chance I can miss the charity event. That being said, we'll all be watching the Sixers game at this charity event. It's going to be an Eagles charity event for the Eagles Autism Foundation. However, we'll all be watching the Sixers and cheering on the Sixers. So I will be painted up as the Eagles guy with Sixers shirt over top of me and stuff. But yeah, I'm going to be wearing like Eagles overalls and a Sixers shirt underneath the overalls. So it should be interesting nonetheless. Um, but Friday is going to be funny because they're going to have to make that decision very quickly. And then you're going to have a whole pissed off, sold out Wells Fargo Center that would have to figure out another day to actually go to this concert. But which is only going to make hell for parking anyways, because the Phillies play on Friday night too. And so it's like today there's a Phillies game and the Flyers game, which I will get to after we're done talking about basketball because, like I said, I'll get to that in a few minutes. But I don't know. I find it interesting. I think that, hopefully the Sixers will win this and we won't have to worry about canceling a concert. We can get ourselves ready for Sunday,
Yep.
the Knicks and the Sixers battling at it, and they get a couple days off, which would be nice.
Yep. Absolutely.
So, but, and then, like I said, I think the Heat. So I do believe it'll be Sixers and Heat that make it out of this play-in. I just don't think Chicago's got enough. Though they definitely have enough to get past Atlanta, but not enough to get past anybody else. I think DeRozan can beat Atlanta by himself. He cannot beat Jimmy Buckets.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. Yeah.
So switching to the NHL. So yesterday, the Flyers needed a lot of things to occur.
Yep.
To be able to, that it really could have been the win between the Flyers and Washington this evening would be to get into the playoffs. That didn't happen. So
Yep.
everything that the Flyers needed to occur didn't occur.
Yep.
Detroit wins, Pittsburgh wins, Washington wins. So Washington, right now it's funny because I've been getting text messages from Penguins fans who typically hate me, but are posting, "Hey, we're all Flyers fans today. Woohoo! Beat Washington." So because ultimately Pittsburgh needs a loss from Washington to get into the playoffs, and they need a loss. I believe they need a loss in regulation. They can't have the loss go into overtime. Not 100% certain on that, but I think that's the case. Montreal was up 4-2 against the Red Wings, and they let up 2 goals in the last 2 minutes of the game, and then lost it in overtime. You kidding me? They're Montreal. That's why Montreal sucks. So ultimately, Detroit has to lose today in regulation. The Penguins have to lose in regulation tomorrow to the Islanders. And the Flyers have to win in regulation against Washington, which is going to put.
And you got to score a lot of points, I think, right?
No, I don't need to score a lot of points. A win in regulation. Yeah, a win in regulation will do it. But it's got to be in regulation, which puts us in a very unique situation. If we are tied with 2 minutes left in the game, you have to pull the goalie to try to make the playoffs.
No, I
You
mean,
have to
yeah,
you have to win in regulation. You cannot win in overtime. If you get to overtime, it's
it's
over. It's over. So yeah, we would lose to Washington by 1 point. So that's the reason why it's like, okay, we gotta come out battling. And I'm gonna be there tonight, so I'm gonna be trying to root on our team. Hopefully they're not putting too much pressure on themselves to try to do this. But that being said, I mean, they got, I still need Montreal to do what they couldn't do yesterday, and that's to hold a friggin' lead.
yeah.
It's like, hey, listen, when send the puck down, just take the icing. Maybe, just maybe it goes in the net.
Yep.
Frustrating. Very, very frustrating how that occurred. I'm sitting there, I'm watching. I'm like, okay, this is awesome. They got the lead. And,
Almost out of
literally
time.
with a minute left, they score a goal. Yeah. And then in the end of overtime, they wind up just about at the end of overtime. They wind up winning that game. So, like I said, Montreal, do better. We'll see. We will see how that occurs. And then, of course, after all that, I still have to root on the Islanders to beat the Penguins in regulation. Can't go to a tie. Got to win in regulation. So, and I'm not sure where is that. Is that in Pittsburgh? Oh, it's up at the island. Yeah, up in New York. So I may go to that game. Like I may drive up there and as the Philly sports guy,
Okay.
and yell at both teams. Sit right behind the Penguins bench and just troll them the entire time. Crosby, you suck. Gino, and start learning goofy words in Russian so I can start yelling at Gino and funny things. Like, hey, your pencil is small, Gino. In Russian, that's got to be a funny statement in general.
Right.
But that's what's going on with the NHL. Everything else is figured in already. So, I mean, we will see. My expectation is that the Flyers are not going to be in the playoffs. I can hold my breath as long as I want, but I do not suspect that the Flyers will have. They did it to themselves.
Mhm.
That 8-game losing streak. Had they made it to overtime a couple of those games.
Sure.
Which means they would have needed to score more than one goal and hold the other team from 9 goals and 6 goals.
Yeah.
So that's part of the reason why. Yeah. Literally, that's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. But
speaking of 9 goals, the Mariners finally got a north of 6-run game that they earned. Put up 9 runs yesterday against the Reds.
Against the Reds.
Yeah.
Reds are actually a pretty good team.
They're actually pretty solid. Yeah. So it was good. They had 3 in the first, 2 in the third, 1 in the sixth, 3 in the seventh. I mean, they were actually playing baseball.
How about that?
How about
that? 5 earned runs given up by their starter, at the Reds. And Kirby goes 6 innings, giving up 5 hits, 2 earned runs, and 6 strikeouts.
Yeah. No,
not bad.
It was a good pitching day. The bats showed up. It was just like, oh, where's this team been?
So, and that keeps you out of the basement.
It does.
Of the West.
It does. Yeah. In fact, we are
4th.
I mean, yeah. So,
but it's a logjam right now over there.
We're tied for 3rd. We're 2 games out. So I mean, it's not. Yeah. We're all in the same boat basically.
So the Phillies, playing against one of the worst teams in the league, the 4-13 Rockies, have to play a little bit of extra baseball to win their game, and we wind up getting we get a run in the 3rd. And ultimately, I still have to go 10 innings. But I mean, it was actually a pretty good game. by both the pitchers. Quantrill actually pitched, 4 hit. How many strikeouts did he have? He only had 1 strikeout. That's amazing. The Phillies just couldn't. The Phillies were hitting the ball hard, but they were just hitting them right at people.
Yeah, that's always
It was,
frustrating when when
and
you have a day that's good contact, but not to gaps. You're just like, you're seeing the ball, you just can't place the ball.
and a lot of warning track power. Lot of warning track power. There was like 4, 5 balls caught on the warning track. 2 by Harper specifically. I think Castellanos, who's been hitting the ball better, Nick Castellanos has been making better contact. I know he's been getting crushed by the Philly faithful.
So it's Major League 2 style. Maybe he's just pointing to the left fielder.
So, but ultimately they're doing better. And Nola actually has a pretty good outing. Gives up 4 hits, 1 earned run, 9 strikeouts. So was actually a good day for him. Alvarado comes in, everybody else doesn't give up a run. The only run he gave up was on a bad, he just gave up a home run, and that ball got crushed. You know what I mean? It was just like a little bit higher than he wanted it. And Colorado team got behind it. But the Phillies get the win and stay 3 games up on the Mariners for my pizza. Because that's really what I'm looking at right now. I could care less about the fact that we're a game and a half out or 2 games out.
Again, just way too much time. A million things can happen between now and then.
But the Braves are going up against the Astros, which is in your division, and they spanked them 6-1. So they, there it is. And the Dodgers keep losing, which is interesting to me. Losing to the Nationals. The Nationals stink out loud. They're playing in LA. The Nationals beat them 6-4. So keep going. I love it when the Dodgers lose. I am a big fan of LA losing.
I mean, I'm a big fan of the Astros losing, so I feel you there.
And the Rangers actually, Michael Lorenzen gets that win. How about that? Michael Lorenzen, who was great for 1 game with the Phillies and then stunk. Had 1 no-hitter, first game ever as a Philly, pitched a no-hitter, and then he couldn't get another out, I think, after that. But he gets
nothing game. That's
what I'm saying. That's Detroit only gives up 5 hits or gets 5 hits on the day. So, and this was such a weird, it was like a bloop single just out of, because I think it was out at second, Jared Walsh to third, Helm scores. Yeah, it was like bases loaded, so they couldn't call infield fly. And it was like a bloop. So that dropped, and they wound up being a force at second base, but they wind up getting the run. So it was a very unique type of run that they wind up scoring, but they get the win 1-0 on that. And then the Angels beat the Rays, which also probably doesn't help you, but I mean, the Angels are right now 500 and only 1 game back or half a game back on Texas. So, and Mike Trout with a home run. So don't want to have that guy get hot.
True.
But, that's it. Like I said, baseball. It's like I said, we finally won. The first 10th of the season is over. So over the first 10th of the season, I find that there are way too many batters, way too many players that are hitting below the Mendoza line that start every day.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's just where the league is gone, though, because now the league has transitioned so much to try and put it in the stands. We don't care about strikeouts anymore. We want to see home runs. And so you're seeing these batting averages drop because if you're swinging hard every time instead of just trying to smack the ball, right? Like I remember baseball when you were literally just trying to get it in play. And
Right.
now it's, if it's not leaving the stadium, it's like, oh, wasted at bat. It's like what kind of baseball is this? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. You can win a lot of games by moving people around the base.
No, so it's interesting as you say that because the Phillies are constructed that way. Obviously, they are constructed to hit realistically 3-run home runs or 2-run home runs
Mhm.
because it's really, if you look at it, it's power at Schwarber being the leadoff. Turner is got some power, but really is more of an on-base guy. Harper is power.
Sure.
Then you have Real Muto, who has got some power, but also hits more for average. Then and then you have Bohm behind him, who again is more power than on base. Then you have Nick Castellanos, who is supposed to be more of the power, but just doesn't. Lately is just not. He's been hitting the whole ball better, but he's not been hitting. He's not getting 25 home runs this year. I don't see it. I just don't see it. I think he's a little off from that. And then you have like the 7th, 8th, and 9 hitter, which is all small ball. Now,
Sure.
Brandon Marsh has been coming up because obviously this guy's hitting 300 and he's been able to hit the ball. Again, he's got a little bit of power, but for the most part, he's getting singles, doubles, and triples.
Sure.
And you want
Get
him
the
on
ball in play.
base.
Absolutely.
And same thing, yesterday was an amazing situation for the Phillies. They're in the 10th inning. They get out. They don't let up the run from the guy on second base. The first guy up to bat, Whit Merrifield. And what does he do? He actually lays down a bunt. A
Wow.
bunt sacrifice.
Wow.
Oh my Lord.
You don't see
It's like, wow, I've never seen that before. It's been
Crazy.
years since I've seen somebody put down a good bunt. Like
Yeah.
a good bunt. It was a great bunt. And then, of course, the next two batters, because you get that first out, the next batter up is is Bohm, and he winds up hitting to the shortstop, who is playing just beyond the pitcher's mound because he's got to
Yep.
play in tight. You know what I mean? You need him in tight.
Sure.
And he gets the ball. And when you're playing that close, Bohm hit the ball a little bit hard. He still bobbled him because it was on him so fast, but
Sure.
he gets the out. And then Christian Pache winds up finding some outfield grass and wins the game. And there was much rejoicing.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, as I'm doing my video, I have somebody who's grabbing my arm, and I'm like shaking my arm, and I'm like, "Hey, what are you doing?" Like I'm doing it. Come to look around, I turn around and I look. It's the Wings players, the Philadelphia Wings, the professional lacrosse team, are
Awesome.
sitting there shaking me, which was awesome. You know what I mean? That's like
That
I'm
is
like,
awesome.
"Oh, hey, yeah," and then you get them involved in it. But
Yeah.
it was just kind of funny because I'm like, "What are you doing?" Shaking my arm. I'm like, "I'm trying to do this here." But like I said, there was much rejoicing, and we won the game. Really, we should have smoked this team, and it bothers me that these bats are not hitting against pitching that they should be hitting against.
Yeah.
So these bats got to start to get better. I mean, I think that the Harper's at 200. Castellanos is at 190. This is where I was talking about that all
Isn't
of
that
these.
kind of where Harper generally is? Isn't he like a 220, 230?
No, he's like
Is
a
he better?
270. He's
Oh,
a
270.
270
Okay.
typically. So it's I'm gonna go take a look at their stats right now. So Turner's batting 299, Schwarber 231, Castellanos is at 177. That's because of his day yesterday, but he was at 190. Harper's at 197.
Oof.
Bohm's at 232. Other guys that are under 200, Rojas, part-time player, Whit Merrifield, who is like a lifetime 360 hitter, I think, or not 360, but a lifetime 300 or 290 hitter.
Hmm.
Let me see, because he's like, let's say last year, let's see if I can get the averages. There you go. Last year was 272, 2002, 281. 22 had a down year, it was 240. 277, 282, 302, 304, 288, 283. So this is where Stat Guy jumps in and tells me all about, different stats that I didn't know about. Right?
What are we talking about?
Oh, yeah. Perfect. Where are you off to today there, Stat Guy?
I do sales for work, so I'm driving around doing my sales appointments before a baseball game later tonight.
And who are you going to see tonight?
It's just random. I just stop where I feel like I need to stop. I never usually plan it, because if I plan it, it never works according to plan anyways.
Well, I guess, are you near Appleton? Hockenamawa?
Green Bay.
Oh, you're in Green Bay. I figure you're driving around. I didn't know if you were like in other parts of Wisconsin.
No, it's usually just Green Bay up in that area, Pulaski up in there.
So I guess you have to be fairly excited that the Red Wings.
No.
No.
We're playing a back. We're playing a back-to-back. We have the same team that literally kicked the shit out of us for 2.5 periods last night. We have no choice but to start the same goalie that we started last night, who looked like complete dog shit last night. And even if we win, we're still not guaranteed to get in, because if Washington beats you, then we're out anyways.
That is correct.
So I'm not looking forward to it.
I don't think Washington beats us tonight. We've had Washington's number a little bit. I'm not sure about that.
I hope you beat Washington, because I don't think we're going to win tonight either. I think we tie and lose in overtime tonight.
See, I can't have that. I need you guys to lose in regulation. Lose in regulation tonight, and then we can talk tomorrow and how angry you are about the fact that they couldn't beat Montreal last night.
I'm more angry that they had a 14-point lead about a month and a half ago over that final wildcard spot, and then they chose to lose 7 games in a row.
Hey, well, I know that same feeling, because that's what the Flyers decided to do, except 8 games. It was 8 games that we lost, not 7. So just to let you know that I feel worse than you. So I would have loved to have been able to get just one win. One win would have made a difference. Nope, not us. So ultimately, I think tonight, and the Flyers are actually favorite tonight. They are a minus 140. So, and like I said, again.
Yeah, for those, I don't know how often you watch hockey, and same with you, Bo. I don't know how often you watch hockey. Really.
I watch it all the time.
But when was the last time you could say that the last game of the regular season, this many teams were still in play for that final playoff spot?
Well,
it was actually pretty crowded last year.
But it wasn't. It was more so that there was 5 teams that were in the playoffs that were just fighting for seeding. Like, the 5th seed could have fallen all the way down to the 8th seed. The 8th seed could have moved all the way up to the 4, depending on how things would have fell. This is legitimately, there's 4 teams tonight that can get the final playoff spot: Washington, Detroit, Philly, and Pittsburgh. So all 4 teams essentially have to win, which means the Philly and Washington game is the biggest game out of all 3 of those games, because one of those teams is going to win. One of those teams is guaranteed to get 2 points. So that game alone is going to be the biggest game of who gets that final playoff spot, because if Washington wins, they get it. But if Philadelphia wins and Pittsburgh wins, then Detroit has to win, or vice versa. If Philly wins and Montreal wins, then Pittsburgh wins. Like, that game alone is the biggest game of the whole slate tonight, because it has the most impact on that final spot.
Well, had you guys lost in regulation, which you guys were looking to do yesterday, and Pittsburgh also lose in regulation, didn't matter really what Washington did.
No, if we would have lost last night, we were out. We would have eliminated ourselves last night if we would have lost.
Correct. So, and ultimately, Pittsburgh doesn't play until tomorrow.
Yeah, they have tomorrow, last game.
Yeah, so, and they're playing up against the Islanders. That's why I'm saying I may take that ride up there. If the Flyers win today in regulation and Montreal happens to win their game in regulation, I am going to be literally, I think I will spend the money, and I will go up to, I'll take the 18-hour ride. Well, it's going to be on Wednesday. I gotta go. I gotta be back for charity work. I can't even do that. Can't miss. I'm missing the Sixers game. I'm gonna miss the. It's going to be tough day tomorrow to watch all these sports while I'm bartending. But just you guys do your job today and lose to Montreal in regulation, please. Okay.
Hey, judging how the second half of the season has gone, we'll spot some 4 goals in the first period, and we'll tie it up with about a minute left.
It does have you guys. It does have you guys as the major favorite today, even though you have Alex Lyon in net.
We haven't decided who we're going to play in net. All I know is James Reimer is not starting, so it's either going to be Alex.
No. He's confirmed. I have it confirmed.
They did confirm it. Okay, because they were thinking about starting Vili. They were thinking about starting Vili Husso for the first time in 2 months.
Yeah, they got. It says confirmed here on the Score app.
Oh man, I would. As bad as it is, I'd rather start Husso. Even though he hasn't played a game in 2 months, I'd rather start Husso tonight.
Well, it says he's still out with a lower body injury. So.
He's been in Grand Rapids conditioning. He's been just fine.
Got you. Well, I understand. They probably can't bring him back because of, the cap or something like that.
Well, they can bring him back, but if they bring him back, then I think they have to leave him on the playoff roster also, which I think that's the biggest hang-up. Do they want to carry 3 goalies?
Yeah, well, you could send Alex Lyons down, can't you?
Alex Lyon, you can, but you won't, because he's a big reason why the Red Wings were in the position they were in most of the season, because he had a 2-month stretch where he was actually statistically the second best goalie in the NHL. Where he went, I think he had a 2-month stretch where he was 12-2-1. He had like a 942 save percentage. He was allowing less than 2 goals per game. But then he also had a month stretch where he was one of the worst statistical goalies in the NHL. So he's a very hot and cold goalie, and you saw that last year with Florida. The reason why Florida got into the playoffs was how Alex Lyon played those last 2 months. Or the last 2 weeks, not the last 2 months. He single-handedly put Florida on his back when Sergei Bobrovsky got hurt and started to play like crap. They started Lyon over Bobrovsky, and Lyon got him into the playoffs, and that's just how he is. He's hot and cold. He's been hot. Last night he was cold again, so the question is he going into one of his multi-week cold stretches right now, or is it more so just one bad game, and then he's going to get back and playing the way he has been? That's kind of why you got to ride Lyon right now as bad as it is, just because James Reimer's looked pretty terrible all year.
Gotcha. Well, you got Reimer going in, and I mean he's got a 900 save percentage right here, a 3.05. So he's not played badly, and he's gotten the Lions. As funny as that say, the Lions' share of the starts, with 43 starts. So, but they're going to go the other way. They're going to go Reimer, and let's see what's Reimer's been. Last few games. Let's see how he's done. He gave up 4 or 5 goals against the Maple Leafs on Saturday. The Red Wings won that game 6-5. But he just got freaking bombarded against the Maple Leafs in that game. Yeah, the last few games. Well, he won. He gave up 4 goals in that one. And then he hasn't played. He gave up 4 goals, 3 goals, 3 goals, 1 goal. Last time he gave up 1 goal was a month ago to the day.
Yep.
But he's won 3 of his last 4 starts, but he's only started 4 times, and he gave up 3 goals, 3 goals, 4 goals, 4 goals.
Yeah.
And he won 3 of those 4. So hopefully he'll give up 4 goals. He gives up 4 goals, and the other guy gives up no goals.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that occurs. In the meantime, we're at the top of the hour. Let's do our commercial break, and we will be back momentarily to talk more about how Detroit is going to get beat by Montreal today. We'll be back right after these messages. I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, from Brooklyn. Hey, guess any.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Sometimes, all you need to change your life is a sign. A sign that says, "Hank, this is the place you've been looking for." And sometimes that sign is an actual sign that's mounted to a building. One second, I'm looking at a sign. I know what you're thinking, and no, I don't love B-dubs just because I'm a buffalo with wings. Frankly, that's offensive and reductionist. Cause this place, come on. It's like they took beer and made it into a place and then gave that place sports and chicken wings. And the people, Cuba, the best. Oh! What the is going on, Marty? This isn't a game, this is trivia! Yeah, this place is kinda like heaven. You know, without needing to get hit by a bus. Let's go, sports bar!
Supporting the needs of our veterans. That's the goal of all of us at Team AmVets. Like Mitch, Carlos, and Kevin from our Welcome Home team that brings furniture to our vets.
We are Team AmVets.
Or Linda from our thrift stores who brings you great bargains every day.
I am Team AmVets.
And John, who picks up your thrift store donations that support California veterans programs.
I am Team AmVets.
Visit our website or a Team AmVets thrift store to donate or shop today.
Join the team!
Mr. Green? Mr. Green?
Yeah.
You need any help? I just want you to know, I think you're the best ever.
Yeah, sure.
Want my Coke? It's okay, you can have it.
No.
Really, you can have it.
Okay.
A Coke and a smile makes me feel good. Makes me feel nice.
Be around.
That's the way it should be. I like to see
Hey, kid.
the whole world smiling with me. Coca-Cola as life. Have a Coke and
Thanks, Mean Joe.
smile.
You know, it was said that he had to drink like 36 Cokes that day.
Oh man.
Yeah, because they all the different takes that they had to do. And I love that one because I always said, you know, I used to lie and say that I was the kid
Sure.
in that. Yeah. So I actually have a Mean Joe Green jersey, except mine's black, not white. But
Yeah, nobody was paying that close of attention.
no, nobody was. Nobody was except me, of course. You know.
Well, yeah, if you're gonna make that stuff up.
And poof.
That guy has got I like how he hung out for the commercials and then was like, yeah, that's cool, I'm out.
Gone. Let's out of here.
He's like, I was here for the Joe Green commercial. That's all I showed up for.
Exactly. So let's see what else was happening in the world today. Oh, this was a good one. And back into the NBA, Blake Griffin retires.
Oh, okay.
I forgot that he was actually playing still. So.
That's what I was thinking. I thought that already happened, but all right, sure.
And exactly. So, and they're talking about the Olympic team, and here is going to be the NBA Olympic team for the United States.
Oh yeah.
In fact, here's what I'm going to have you guess, and I'll
No.
tell you.
I actually saw the list this morning.
Oh, got you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So
no, I saw the list this morning. It's interesting because of a couple of the people that aren't on it.
So, okay, Stephen Curry, or Stephen Curry,
Yep.
LeBron James, KD, Jason Tatum, Joel Embiid, Devin Booker, Halliburton, Anthony Edwards, Drew Holiday, Bam Adebayo, and Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is a weird one there because obviously he is always hurt. Why would you have him go there?
Mhm.
The bench coach is going to be Steve Kerr, and Pop is going to be the coach.
Yep.
Which really kind of bothers me there. They are keeping one spot open for either. This is the availability for the one open spot. Kawhi Leonard,
Mhm.
Paul George, Banchero, Mikal Bridges, or Jalen Brunson. One of those is going to get chosen to take that last spot.
Yeah.
Who do you feel should have been there and is not?
I mean, I'm surprised Luka wasn't on there.
Well, yeah, but isn't he playing for a different team?
Oh yeah, he probably actually is. Yeah, that's true. Kyrie probably ends up on there, even though I don't love that just because he's unavailable as much as he is.
Kyrie?
Yeah.
Kyrie who?
Irving.
No. Not even a possibility.
Oh, I thought he was one of the potential last spot guys.
No, not on there.
Oh, interesting.
Kawhi Leonard.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't know.
I mean, first off, when I look at this list, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, right? First off, Kawhi Leonard beats out Paul George.
Yes.
Banchero, I don't know enough about him, so I would still go Kawhi Leonard over him.
Mm-hmm.
Mikal Bridges and Jalen Brunson. So, Mikal Bridges, tough one to call there on the who's better, Kawhi Leonard or Mikal Bridges.
I'd probably go Kawhi still.
And then Jalen Brunson, who's actually had a really good season this year.
Mm-hmm.
Same situation. I actually like Jalen Brunson there
over
Kawhi. Again, because Kawhi Leonard is always hurt.
Yes.
So the fact that they put Anthony Davis on this team, and he's always hurt. I mean, obviously, he's a monster when he's not hurt.
I mean, that's the thing is, yeah, he can be great as long as he can stay healthy. The only thing we do know about him is he can't stay healthy.
Right. So, and it's funny to me that the Lakers never considered trading him.
I think that had a lot to do with LeBron.
Like, what? He can't play without him?
I think he was requiring him still be there.
I guess, but I don't know. I think that there are so many other players that are better to be able to use. I mean, truth of the matter is that had they, where's he at? Where's he at? Andre Drummond, who's on the Bulls. Definitely. I mean, obviously he's got a little bit of something going on with his ankle right now, but truth of the matter is that he is more healthy and is just as good defensively.
Sure.
Why not go after him? Why not trade? Why continue the same thing over and over again? I guess because that LeBron owns that team.
Yep.
Which is why the Lakers are going to wind up taking Bronny in the first round.
That's the thing is it's whatever he says goes, right? And so, yeah, they're going to take Bronny. It's why AD is still there. I mean, because does it make sense for him to still be there based on the fact that he can never be healthy? Not really. I mean, have we seen him be that guy when he has to step up and be the guy? No. I mean, like, I haven't seen any of those things out of AD that makes you think, oh, I want that guy, right? So is he a supreme talent? Absolutely. But he can't stay healthy. And if he has to be the leader, he doesn't do that all that well. So, but LeBron likes him, wants him on the team. He's on the team. When Bronny, he declares he's probably going to get drafted, I'm sure he'll be a Laker.
Interestingly enough, as I'm looking at this, he's played 76 games this year.
He has been one of his best years as far as availability.
Of course, he's hurt now. So
of course.
Going into the playoffs.
Yeah, well, he's always hurt in the playoffs, though. The only season he wasn't hurt in the playoffs is the bubble, because they had months off in the middle.
Yeah, how about this, Mom, with the very interesting facts of the day? Ben Franklin died at age 84, and 20,000 people were at his funeral, being the largest gathering up to date in Philadelphia. Very interesting, and they only found another 18,000 people in the basement of his house, of all those cadavers that he was operating on. And, actually, it's possible that, Ben Franklin was the very first serial killer. We wouldn't know that. Obviously we don't have that type of thing to be able to figure that all out. But Ben Franklin, if you're ever in Philadelphia, you are able to go see his grave and throw a penny on there. I don't know why people throw pennies on his grave, but that's what people do. Throw the penny on his grave.
Odd thing. It
isn't.
I'm going to Google that.
Yeah, I'm not sure why either, but there you go. That's, but they do that, and I've been to his grave. I've seen it. It's a big slab, it's behind the gates. You can't just go walking in there and stuff like that. Interesting stuff. So, and it's in historic Philadelphia. If you go further down the street, you can get to Betsy Ross's house, where she made the flag and things like that. So there was, lots of history in that whole area. You have Independence Hall, which, if you've seen, what is it, National Treasure, you can go see where that one brick came out of the wall.
Okay. It actually, I guess, kind of makes sense. So, so supposedly it's for good luck, and it's for his adage, a penny saved is a penny earned, which is hilarious because you are literally throwing the penny away. So you're not saving that penny. You're actually going against what he said 100%.
Even better. That's awesome. So the penny saved, well, you're giving it to him. So he's earned that penny.
Exactly.
He's still earning the money.
He is. And there's an estimated, over 100,000 pennies on his grave
annually. Because normally when you go there, I got to imagine because they don't have them there. Those pennies aren't there. It's not covered in pennies.
I wasn't sure if there was like a tomb or something.
It's flat. It's flat. And it says, hey, Ben Franklin gives the dates and stuff like that. But there's not a mound. 100,000 pennies would be a monster mound of pennies.
Yeah.
That there's like a few pennies there on the grave. So they must clean that up all the time and save it for that church, which is, I believe that is Trinity Church, which would be a Freemasons church.
Okay.
I believe. You know what I mean? Because realistically, I think he was like a 12th degree Master Mason, Freemason.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, like ridiculous. Like holding all of the secrets.
Ben, here we go. For all the foil hat people, Ben Franklin's tomb is the Illuminati piggy bank.
There you go. How do you think they can afford to do all those things? All those pennies.
That's right.
And like I said, if you find out, like you could find out that there literally was at his house, they found, I think it was somewhere in excess of like 100 cadaver bones, like they're just bones of dead people. So I have a friend, and nobody's really watching this well enough to know, anything, but I have a friend who's actually writing a show on Ben Franklin being the first ever serial killer.
I mean, a lot of weird stuff happened back then, so
much. I would say that. So yeah. So when you're ever in Philadelphia, I would say go take a look at that. I would spend more time at Ben Franklin's tomb, where he's buried, than I would at the Liberty Bell. Listen, if you ever come to Philadelphia, I will tell you this. You want to go see the Liberty Bell, you want to see it. Absolutely. You want to go there, you want to take a picture. Yeah. Don't listen to the story.
Sure.
They tell you, it takes them 45 minutes to tell you the Liberty Bell. It's big, it's gray, it's cracked. End of story. They fixed it, it cracked again. End of story. That's it.
I mean, to be fair, that's true with a lot of things. I mean, the Bible is 1,000 pages to say don't be a douchebag.
Yeah, but see now we're getting into stuff where I go down the rabbit hole on TikTok a little bit. So I'm real big on. I'm not a foil hat guy, but I do believe that the Bible is got truths that have been handed down. Do I believe Jesus was a man? Yeah, I bet you that there was a guy who was named something that they wind up calling him Jesus because they don't have another name. They didn't, his name doesn't equate to normal.
What? You're not subscribing to he was the singular white guy in the Middle East?
No, I think actually that it went the opposite way, that he might have been the only black guy walking around. You know what I mean? Like I think that makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that, hey, there's this guy that's walking around who's preaching all of this stuff, and he's, not the same as us. You know what I mean? I think that's where that comes from.
Oh yeah.
But ultimately, who knows? You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm a big believer in that. Everything that people tell you has got some truth, but mostly you don't ruin a good story with the truth.
Yeah, well, especially when you figure it's it's the telephone game. It's been rewritten a bunch of times over the course of history.
Right.
So like the thing could have started out as bedtime stories. Who knows?
No. I mean, but I believe that there was a flood. Do I believe that the guy's name was Noah? that built that ark? No. Do I think that I think he that there were a few people that built that ark, and they made it. Because that was a big freaking ark.
Sure.
So, and the pyramids are older than 5,000 years old. There we go. So, just my opinion. That they weren't tombs. They were actually energy sources. I believe all that stuff. Like that's I believe that there's real world situations that the pyramids were for. Just my opinion.
See, and that is going to breathe life into a new show coming in the evening. Just some sort of foil hat.
Truth or bullshit?
The new show will be called Conspiracy Theories with Pegs.
Exactly.
Well, see, I'm not a conspiracy. Well, I am a conspiracy theorist, but I like I said, I believe that there's a lot of truth. There's a lot of truth to everything that you're hearing about. The problem is that what part of the truth are they telling you?
Oh, yeah. They're telling you the part of the truth that they want you to hear, not the part of the truth that everybody else wants to hear.
Right. Or the actual truth of
Yeah.
every part of it. You know what I mean? Yep. Just like, I don't know. I keep waiting for the poles to shift on the world, and then all of a sudden, like that's when you're going to find Atlantis and all these other things because all the water is going to be in different spots.
That's right. Conspiracy calamity. Here we go. Monday nights.
Exactly. Yeah. But and listen, if you could go down a rabbit hole on TikTok, then
Oh,
just start the Anunnaki, just put in Anunnaki, and all of a sudden you're going to see one guy coming in talking about all about it, and you could live in that rabbit hole for months.
Mm-hmm.
So, and with this new world Nibiru coming in, and it's going to, that's what actually flips our poles and.
What's really fun is when you get into the, the lizard people, and that becomes fun to watch.
Yes. See, now I'm not a big lizard people person. I don't believe that there's lizard people.
Sure.
I mean, only because nobody can prove that to me. So I'm not that type of conspiracy theorist. But maybe there are. Who knows? The skinwalkers and things like that. No.
I haven't met any. They haven't brought me to their spaceship or whatever. So,
but interestingly enough, I do believe that when you see a Bigfoot, when people see a Bigfoot,
okay,
that they are actual, that Bigfoot people are like, who were supposedly the ancestors before Homo sapiens, not Homo erectus or anything like that. The Neanderthals.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that they Bigfoot sightings are Neanderthals, that are caught out in the open for a little while. The reason why you don't see them because they definitely, I think that there are small tribes of Neanderthals around. That it's weird. I understand, but I think it's a real thing.
Mostly, I was just coming up with smart ass responses. It's fine.
Right.
I would say they're not as hidden as you think.
Well, exactly. I mean, but when you think about it, when you start to think about actually Neanderthals in comparison to Homo sapiens, which is really there's a whole story attached to the fact that Neanderthals actually almost made Homo sapiens extinct, that we aren't relatives of them. That's not how our lineage goes. That Neanderthals actually preyed on humans. You know what I mean? And that they were a different sect of humans.
Based on what you see in the world in general, that would make total sense.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, that they were, like, I don't know. I guess you could say that they would eat human beings.
I mean, to be fair, there's human beings that eat human beings. There's still an island that
can't even go to.
If you land there, you probably ain't leaving.
Oh, well, the last guy who did, even if you get close, they come after you.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, that these guys can't make boats. You know what I mean?
That's because the people that have figured out how to do it, die.
Keep getting eaten. They keep getting eaten.
Yeah.
Make a boat. No, we're going to eat your ass.
I feel like you'd at least want to learn some stuff before you do that. Be like, oh, how did you get this crazy creature that floats?
Nope. We're just going to make sure that you die. Well, and that, like I said, the one guy that went there, the last guy that went there and tried to introduce to them Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'm sure that guy wound up seeing God. That guy wound up seeing God.
That'll get you eaten in a lot of places.
Yeah. 100%. Only on this sports show can you get this type of content. I tell you, the sports of the gods, back in the day, it's...
This segment brought to you by Reynolds Wrap.
Never a dull moment. It is never a dull moment. So, hey, listen, do you guys have any thoughts, or maybe I'll ask you, the stat guy, any thoughts on the fact that Arizona actually is going to wind up moving their team to Salt Lake City, and that Utah's going to have a team?
Yes, because it's a dumb move, because if you saw the reports that came out right after it, they basically said, well, if you upgrade your arena after we move this team, you can get another team back in Arizona. Then why the hell are you moving them in the first place if you're telling them they can get another team back?
Well,
just given the stipulation that they have to upgrade the arena now.
Right?
Well, the arena that they had originally could hold a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, and then they didn't pay the bills on it, and whatever happened to it. But I'm like, if you're gonna, obviously Salt Lake City is a great town for hockey because it's in the mountains, and they're another one of those cities that has basketball as kind of that only major sport. They have MLS, but they don't really have anything else. So putting hockey there is a good fit. But if you're gonna tell the state of Arizona that they basically all they have to do to keep a team in Arizona, or basically now all they have to do to get a team to come back is to build a new arena, then why not just work out an agreement now with the Phoenix Suns where the Coyotes can play their home games at the Phoenix Suns arena for the next couple of years while you build a new arena? Because that's completely pointless if you're going to take this team, move them to Seattle, and then basically say, oh, when we're in line for expansion teams, just put your name in there and you'll probably get one back.
I don't think they're going to get one back. That's the problem. They can't support a team down there. So listen, I mean, there's more cities in Arizona other than Phoenix.
Yeah.
And the problem is that nobody cares about hockey in Phoenix, Arizona. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Again, this is one of these situations where, like, at least in Miami, they moved it away from the cities. So you are getting people from Florida going to go watch Panther hockey.
Sure.
In Tampa Bay, there are a lot of transplants in general and a lot of Philadelphia transplants, which is why hockey works in Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Along with the fact that they actually had a pretty good team, and Tampa Bay people living there are very prideful of their area. So that's why sports in Tampa Bay actually works. That being said, it's like there's a reason why you don't have a hockey team in Biloxi, Mississippi, because they ain't interested. You know what I mean? It's just, that's why you don't have a hockey team in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
Because they ain't interested. They don't play hockey. It's not something that they grow up doing. There would be better. It'd probably be better to have a team in Boise, Idaho.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I'm not surprised that they moved. I mean, it's kind of funny because when you look at Arizona State University, they actually have a very good hockey team, which is ironic because that's the same building that the Arizona Coyotes play in, is where the Arizona State Sun Devils play, and Arizona State typically has a top 25 team every year for hockey, which is funny to think about. But if I was going to move the Coyotes, I wouldn't have moved them to Seattle because I kind of wanted, it's not Seattle, Salt Lake, because I kind of wanted Salt Lake to have their own team, kind of get that expansion team, kind of have that own brand that they can call their own. If I would have moved the Coyotes, I would have moved them to Kansas City. Kansas City already has that arena there, the Sprint Center. They've already hosted numerous hockey events there. They've already hosted like numerous college basketball events there for the NCAA tournament, and they have, I think, like a 18,000 seat arena in Kansas City. That move would have made a lot more sense because it's a town that wants hockey because they want to have that rival with the Blues.
True. Yeah, the Missouri rivalry.
Yeah.
Well, but they didn't. And I think Kansas City, it's interesting because Kansas City is going to be the one city that all of a sudden is going to have some issues going on. I wonder, I mean, I guess we were talking, I was talking to somebody who was from who was a Kansas City fan, who was saying, "Hey, it's like ultimately they voted down this one tax, but truth of the matter is that they are going to just create another bill, and they're going to get the tax passed. You know what I mean? Without a doubt in their minds. So ultimately, you're going to see the Chiefs not leave, but." Even still, I mean, because I then asked them, like, well, how much money were they talking about in this tax? How much was it that was going to cost each household?
Sure.
Because ultimately, that's really what it comes down to. How much money is it? It's one thing to vote down the tax. It's another thing to figure out exactly how much money it's going to cost you. And she didn't even know. She voted yes for it.
Okay.
And her family did because they are season ticket holders. And anybody who's a season ticket holder voted for it.
Sure.
It's the ones that aren't season ticket holders. And also, it's inexpensive for season tickets there in Kansas City. They have great seats and parking's included. And for a pair of seats, it's $2,000. That's amazing.
That's nice.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And they have, like I said, there's 16 rows off the field.
Wow.
So I mean, it's like I would never give those up. I would do that myself. I'm not even from Kansas City. If I could get that deal, I would buy those tickets right now. Right now. Like, I'm not even going to go to any one of those games unless the Eagles are going to Kansas City in 8 years. So in 8 years, I'll go to that one game. But I'm going to sell all those tickets. All those tickets are going to get sold. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? 16
the
rows
resale market can't be that great either then.
What are you talking about? The resale market, when I went there to sit where I was sitting, was $450 for that ticket.
Oh, okay.
For one
right.
ticket. So at Kansas City, think about that. This is the 2-time Super Bowl champion.
No, like I get that. I just mean in average. Obviously, the last couple of years they've been amazing, sure. But if season tickets are that inexpensive comparatively, right? It seems like the resale value wouldn't be the same as it is in, say, Philly or Seattle, where season tickets are really expensive. And so even a cheap resale ticket in a bad year is expensive.
Well, so similar ticket right now. The tickets went up this year again. And I guess it was an NFL-wide situation. Everybody's tickets went up some. The same tickets that you're going to buy from Kansas City that would cost $2,000 for the pair, is $3,600 from what I understand each. Similar seats.
Right. That sounds about right. That sounds about like what it would be here in Seattle.
So,
which is why I say like the resale value of a ticket inherently would be less, right? Comparatively, because the initial price is so high. That's all I was saying. Not that it was necessarily cheap. And of course, for a one-off or a playoff or, obviously those are going to be more anyway. But like the resale of just an average ticket is going to be less because the original price is less.
Well, and I tell you, it doesn't matter wherever the Eagles play, the tickets are gouged. They will gouge the hell out of these tickets. You are always when I go to away games.
I don't hate on people that do it because if you can, awesome, good on you.
Right, $400. It's $400. That's the average cost of a ticket when I go to an away game.
Okay.
To sit where I want to sit. Now I'm spending the money to sit in the right seats, so it's always very good. And I also love going around. I want to be around the other team's fans. So I want to be the green speck in a sea of red. You know what I mean? Like
I want to do that in my home stadium. I'll sit with the opposing crowd a lot just because I want to be able to chirp during the game.
Right. But I mean, it's expensive. It's expensive to be an Eagles fan, especially going to away games. So always, like I said, even the seats up in Seattle where you guys couldn't get the stadium loud enough because there was too many of us there.
Sure.
Yeah, it was like normally this is up to about 120. We can only get it to 100 decibels, which was funny to me. It's like I'm like, oh, that just means there's a lot of Eagles fans here.
Yep.
And there was a lot of Eagles fans there. Same thing at Kansas City. Kansas City, it looked like Christmas in Kansas City because you had all red and green.
Yeah.
So it was very Christmassy.
And welcome all the new people in the chat. Thanks for stopping by the show.
Yeah. El Capitan and Daniel.
Yep.
So nice. Thanks for hopping in. We have the last 20 minutes left. Stat Guy, what do you want to talk about?
Have you talked about the WNBA draft yet?
Yeah, that's what we started with today.
Okay.
What did you think about it?
Well, obviously, pick number one was done given 4 years ago. We knew who was going to be the number one pick 4 years ago. After that, at the top three, you had the girl from Stanford going 2. You had the girl from South Carolina going 3.
Yep.
Angel Reese went 7. So it's the Chicago Sky made a killing by getting that girl in 3 and 7. Chicago Sky are going to be a good team to watch. But the thing that I like most about this draft.
And he's back.
That was weird. I didn't do nothing.
Like best about this draft? Nothing. I'm out.
That was weird because I said something and then everything like shut off. That was weird. But anyways, so it was the most viewed WNBA draft in history, and a lot of that has to do with Caitlin Clark. And now you're looking at the Indiana Fever's first game against the Las Vegas Aces. They moved that game from a 12,000 seat arena to a 20,000 seat arena because of Caitlin Clark. I guarantee you that the WNBA is going to have record-setting ratings starting this year because of Caitlin Clark. And that's actually good for the WNBA because instead of these $85,000 to $100,000 salaries that most of these players get, you might start seeing these salaries go up to $150,000 to $200,000 because they're going to start getting more money than they've ever gotten before because of Caitlin Clark.
Exactly.
Is that real though? I mean, let's face it. They got it. I mean, so let me rephrase this. Caitlin Clark and Indiana is going to be able to have bigger, like they're going to have now 20,000 seat arena that they might, and possibly, especially for the first game, they probably will sell out.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yep.
After that, you know what I mean? You're probably going to have a couple of sellouts, I would think. But
I guess the biggest difference is the WNBA a lot of time is broadcasted on NBA TV. They have some games on Peacock. Every now and then you might see a sporadic game on ESPN.
Yep.
Every single WNBA team has at least 2 games on ESPN this year, and all their games are when Caitlin Clark plays.
Well, and
they're going to make sure they market her.
Well, I was just going to say they are 2 years away from expansion. So there is finally some traction behind the WNBA. So you may see these salaries start to climb because it's starting to get more viewers, and their advertising is starting to reflect a sport that people are watching. Now, it still isn't great. Like, they still don't tell you like when the season's starting and stuff. So I mean, like it's it is a little bit weird that that's an element still, but there are a lot more viewers than there used to be, and I think some of that is the guy's game is frustrating at times, right? Like they don't play defense. You could almost award rushing stats for how much they travel at this point. The refs have gotten to a spot where they're just kicking people out because, they got their Charmin soft feelings hurt. So it, all of a sudden people are tuning into the WNBA game just because the normal NBA game has fallen off.
Yeah. But the thing that they said last night too, Caitlin Clark's salary, just her flat WNBA salary this year, is going to be $97,400.
No, that'll be the final year of it. The first year is actually only like 73,000.
No, they said she's signing 97. She's actually getting more than what you typically get because of the Caitlin Clark factor.
Oh, okay.
But she's also getting $4.5 million in endorsements.
Yeah, of course.
So
well, like I said, the first person that she hugged, that was, she didn't go to her family or nothing. The first person she hugged was Jake from State Farm.
Yep.
So
she's gonna be literally she'll be the second highest paid WNBA player behind Sabrina Ionescu, and it's gonna be mainly all because of the endorsements that she gets.
Yeah. No,
So
that makes total sense.
Yeah, and that's why I said I think the more viewership the WNBA gets this year, even if it is only when she plays, it's not going to matter. The more viewership that they're getting, the more money that they're going to be making, the more money that these players are going to get. And WNBA players do deserve more money than what they're making. $97,000 for a WNBA player is atrocious in my opinion.
Yeah,
I'm not saying they deserve what the men play just because they don't have as many teams, they don't play as many games. You're not going to bring in that same kind of revenue. But these women at least need to be getting at least $500,000 at least.
Yeah, so the rookie contract that I'm looking at right now is 4-year, $338,000. The 24 season is 76, 25 season 78, 26 season 85, 27 option season is 97.
So, yeah.
And that's SportTrack.com.
So let me ask this question, to both of you. Is there going to be, let's go, like a deficient for the women's basketball, college basketball next year? Because there isn't somebody taking Caitlin Clark. There's only one Caitlin Clark. She was the one that was able to make this all occur. So now there isn't a Caitlin Clark there in the women's NCAA.
You're still going to have Paige Beckers at UConn next year, and you're still going to have that freshman at USC who, if anyone's going to do what Caitlin Clark did, I think it's going to be that freshman at USC. I can't remember what her name is off the top of my head, but she she broke almost every single one of Caitlin Clark's freshman records. So, I mean, she's already kind of made a name for herself, so you're still going to have those two women to follow. But once it gets to the NCAA tournament next year for the women's side of things, I think that's where the drop-off's going to happen. Because you're not going to have the big names that you had this year. You're not going to have Angel Reese. You're not going to have Caitlin Clark. You're not going to have South Carolina's undefeated season and that tall girl from Stanford that went number 2. You're not going to have the rivalries that were established the last 3 years because all those players that established those rivalries are now going to be in the WNBA.
Yep.
I don't think the regular season viewership necessarily will take too much of a hit because it's still a college sport and you're going to have all those college teams turning out and supporting the teams anyways. But I think it's when you get to that NCAA tournament is when their viewership is going to take a big hit because you're not going to have the storylines that you had this year outside of Paige Beckers at UConn and that girl out of USC. But even them, it's not the Caitlin Clark name. And if they weren't playing Caitlin Clark, even those games weren't as viewed as anything else.
So, yeah, we'll talk about that another time, Chris. That's too much to try to get into right this second. That Philadelphia, because it was one of the greatest WrestleManias, they're saying, "Hey, we want you to come back."
Yeah.
So, which would make sense for in 2 years, because they were going to have that 250th anniversary of 76. So that's like where everything's going to try to be in Philadelphia that year, like the All-Star games and things like that. And so we will see. But yeah, that's we'll talk about that at another time. I like the fact that Philadelphia was great on the world stage when it came to that type of stuff. We actually showed up very well in that regard. So lucky us. But going back to, like I said, I agree. I don't think that they need to start doing some of that now. They need to start touting some of these women Now, somebody should be working that out. Somebody should be putting up a lot of, like, see, this is where the NCAA is screwing up. Somebody should pay.
You think we have time for that in the show?
No, we don't. But what I mean is that somebody from the NCAA should be hiring social media people to start to tout every different sport. Listen, you got all these college people, you have all this money, but you keep it all up to the very, very top. That's what it was. That the people who run the NCAA are all money hungry and power hungry. So they want to keep every penny to themselves. And that's the problem. So now when you don't, hey, we're going to just take away your money. Well, now you have what you, so trickle down some of that money and actually hire some people to do some real, like, hey, marketing, just real marketing. You start touting some of these women, start showing off. So, hey, yeah, Caitlin Clark might be gone, but this is who we got now. This is who to pay attention to.
Yeah. And when you look at it too, look at especially when it comes to college softball. For how good Oklahoma has been, I think they won, what was it, like 80-some games in a row or something like that at one point, or even more than that even. How much marketing does the Oklahoma softball team get? Unless it's the NCAA tournament, you don't hear anything about that Oklahoma softball team unless you're literally watching them on TV.
Right. Well, I mean, but not only that, I mean, they show a lot of women's softball, college softball, right around that same time that you start watching the Little League World Series.
Yep.
They could do better with that, I'm sure, but they don't.
Yep.
So, and that's part of the problem. That's part of the issues. So maybe if they stop playing with themselves and actually start to actually push their product, that's the issue. That's the reason why the SEC decided that they don't want to deal with this. This is how the NIL got started to begin with. They're like, listen, isn't this about time? You know what I mean? It's like everything else.
Yep.
Ultimately, like I said, I agree with what Coach was saying, that the colleges now, you should no longer give any of these athletes that get the NIL money scholarships.
Or at least have like a dollar figure they have to hit.
Yeah.
Because maybe if they have some like super low end deal, maybe they still need.
Yeah, if you're getting a $10,000 NIL,
exactly.
That doesn't mean that you get to you get a scholarship. But you need, like, if you're getting $1 million, you got to pay for your own college.
Yeah, I'm with that. Like, that's fine. I feel like there should be a threshold, because if you got a low end deal, all of a sudden you have to turn that down because you want to be able to go to school. So I feel like there should be some threshold in there where it's like, okay, you've made enough over the line here that, you got to pay for your own college. And I mean, ultimately that would free up scholarship for someone else.
Exactly. But truth of the matter is that I think that they should lessen because obviously most of this NIL money, Caitlin Clark's aside, you know what I mean? Some of these women aside, I'm not trying to, poo-poo them. I'm just they are the outlier. They're not the norm. That this is mostly football,
of course,
and maybe a little bit of basketball, but not even a lot of basketball. Mostly because they're one and done. You have to, like, oh, you were a McDonald's All-American. Yeah, we're going to give you a lot of money, but we're not going to give you a ton of money because you know what? You're going to be in the NBA. You're going to make all that money. Why would I give you all this money right now to play for one season?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, but football, that's a different story. You got one of the guys who's got the biggest NIL deal, hasn't even played at many downs yet.
Yeah.
Manning. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. So ultimately, anybody who's like that, they should not get a scholarship. I agree. Like, once you've made seven figures, once you get $1 million deal, and they're giving away $1 million all over the place. These kids now are making millions of dollars.
Absolutely.
Then you should, and realistically, you should pay for college.
Mm-hmm.
do like everybody else does. Hey, I need to get I'm getting this scholarship funding or grants and such like that, like everybody else. You know that I'm gonna have to do with my kids because they can't kick footballs great.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, my daughter is not 6'9". So that's just part of what I got to deal with. And and that is brings us to the top of the hour.
So it does.
So yeah, I mean this was
well, one more quick thing before we get off.
Okay.
Have you watched any of the UFL games recently?
Just clips of them. I haven't watched
very, very briefly.
Yeah.
If you have a chance to watch the Birmingham Stallions, watch them this weekend. Because the way Adrian Martinez is playing, not only is he going to find a way into the NFL this offseason, but he's going to find a way to possibly win a job.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what? Kukas is the same situation there. Yeah, I mean, because he was part of the Stars, and if he didn't break his knee or his leg, in the championship, the USFL championship game, he would have beaten Birmingham, and would have probably gotten an NFL job.
Yeah.
And that was 2 years ago when I went to go see that.
I mean, that's a good segue to a promo. We are actually talking to the head coach of the DC Defenders on our new show, Coach's Corner.
Reggie Barlow.
There you go. So that's tomorrow, right?
That is tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern.
Awesome. So, well, stay tuned for that. I will not be on the show tomorrow, so I can't tell you whether we may have a replay tomorrow, or Bo may come on with StatGuy. Who knows? But I have other commitments for tomorrow, so I will see you guys again on Thursday, where we will be back talking about how the Flyers somehow, some way made it into the playoffs, and that Detroit pooped the bed greatly against Montreal.
We did that months ago.
See, and we're back to the Reynolds rap.
There we go.
We did that months ago when we crapped the bed.
There you go. Well, anyways, everybody, thank you very much for hanging out with us today, and we will see you. Some of us will see you tomorrow. Some of us will see you on Thursday. But everybody, have a good one.